This is 22-year-old Jordan Spieth, teeing off at the 12th hole in the final round of the 2016 Masters. Just 1 year prior, Spieth became the second youngest player to ever don the green jacket, leading from start to finish en route to his first ever major win. And this year was no different. Spieth held a 3-shot lead and was just 8 holes away from becoming the youngest repeat champion ever. And then, this happened. And then this.
He didn't even want to look at it.
And this. And he's never been the same. Now, to any regular golfer, this sequence looks like an average outing, shooting at least 100 with a few triple bogeys sprinkled into the mix. But for this to happen to a professional player, leading the pack at the most iconic golf course in the world, now that's something you won't see too often. But to understand the impact that this moment had on Jordan Spieth's career, it's important to understand just how big the hype surrounding Spieth was at the time. While Jordan Spieth wasn't a household name just yet, many golf fans already knew of the promising young player before he turned pro. As an amateur, Spieth won the US Junior Championships in 2009 and 2011, joining Tiger Woods as the only players to win the tournament more than once. In 2012, Spieth would be given the chance to play at the US Open as an amateur. He'd finished tied for 21st with a score of +7, and was the highest finishing amateur player in the field. Spieth turned pro in 2013 and immediately made an impact. At the John Deere Classic in July, Spieth put on a stellar performance, which put him 1 shot behind the lead going into the 18th hole. After a bad approach shot that left him in the bunker, Spieth stepped up and sank the bunker shot to force a 3-man tiebreak.
Get up and down.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Jordan Spieth, how about that birdie at the last?
After 5 playoff holes, Spieth emerged victorious, claiming his first PGA Tour trophy, becoming the 5th youngest to do so. Spieth would finish the year with 3 more second-place finishes, and was unanimously voted the 2013 PGA Rookie of the Year. The first signs of Jordan's potential greatness came at his first Masters in 2014. At just 20 years old, Spieth would put 3 solid scores on the board to put himself in contention, tying for first with Bubba Watson at -5 going into the final round. Things would start out strong for Spieth on Championship Sunday. He birdied 4 of his first 7 holes to take a 2-stroke lead. But after a few bogeys put him back to -6, Spieth would arrive at the 12th hole just a stroke behind Bubba. Holes 11 through 13 were known as Amen Corner, an infamous stretch that would often decide the outcome of the Masters. While all 3 holes are dangerous in their own right, the par 3 12th is the crown jewel of the trio, or rather, the poisoned apple that ruins players' tournaments time and time again. The hole itself is short, only around 150 yards, with water in the front and what appears to be a long green behind it. But in reality, the hole is deceptively difficult, especially on Sunday, when the flag is placed on the far right side of the green. The safe decision when playing 12 is to aim for the left side, away from both the water and the bunkers in the middle. But when you're standing up on the tee box, going for the right side of the green is sometimes too tempting to pass up. However, the angled green and sloped front edge poses an immense challenge. Any ball strike without backspin will bounce into the rough, but any ball that lands short will almost certainly end up in the water. Scoring well on this hole requires immense discipline and experience. But in 2014, Jordan Spieth had neither. Down a stroke, Spieth decided to go for the pin on the 12th, and it cost him the tournament. He hit it just short of the green, and the ball slowly trickled into the water. And while he did well to save his bogey, Jordan couldn't close the gap in the end, and finished the tournament tied for second. This performance boosted Spieth into the top 10 of the world rankings, and earned him a place on Team USA for the Ryder Cup, the youngest player to join the team in over 85 years. He proved to be a great addition, winning 2 matches and drawing 1. Although Team USA would lose to Europe by 5 points, Spieth was the second highest performing player on his team, proving his play at the Masters wasn't a fluke. Spieth finished the year with back-to-back wins at the Australian Open and the Hero World Challenge in Florida, finishing the latter with a tournament record -26. This put Spieth at 6th place in the world rankings, heading into the 2015 Masters. The expectations were high for the young star, and yet, Spieth managed to shatter every single one of them. To say Spieth's Masters run in 2015 was impressive would be an understatement. Spieth started the tournament with a first round of 64, putting him far in the lead at 8 under par. Spieth led wire to wire, breaking numerous records, including the 36 and 54-hole scoring record, most birdies at the Masters with 28, and would finish the tournament at 18 under, tying Tiger Woods for the lowest Masters score ever. Spieth also joined Tiger as the youngest ever Masters champion at just 21 years of age. Not only did Spieth dominate the entire tournament, he also made up for his woes on hole 12 from the previous year, managing 2 birdies on the hole throughout the tournament. Spieth continued his dominance in 2015, winning the US Open in June and placing second behind Jason Day at the PGA Championship in August. Spieth won 3 more PGA Tour events throughout the year and became the world number 1 in September. He managed to keep that ranking well into 2016 thanks to a 4th place finish at the Open Championships. Spieth's 2015 campaign was one of the most dominant years of golf ever, as he joined Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods as the only men ever to finish in the top 5 at each major in a single year. Spieth was also the youngest player to ever win multiple majors and was shaping up to be the biggest golf prodigy since Tiger Woods. Going into 2016, Spieth won his 7th PGA Tour event before the age of 23 at the Hyundai Tournament of Champions, joining Tiger once again as the only other player to do so. But Spieth wanted to carve out his own legacy, and he had the chance to do so at the Masters that year. As the tournament favorite, all eyes were on Spieth to repeat. He would become only the 4th player to ever win back-to-back Masters, and at just 22 years old, he would be by far the youngest to do so. Things started off great for Jordan Spieth. He shot a tournament best 66 in his first round and held a 2-stroke advantage after 18 holes. After 2 more rounds of solid golf, Spieth became the first player to ever lead the Masters for 7 consecutive rounds. And while this year had once again been wire to wire, it wasn't as convincing as his 2015 performance. Spieth came out swinging in the final round, stringing together 4 birdies in a row on the front 9 to put him ahead at -7. The only player near Spieth was an unknown Englishman named Danny Willett, who was 5 strokes behind and 3 holes ahead of the defending champion. All Spieth had to do was get through Amen Corner unscathed, and he'd capture his 2nd Masters victory in a row. But the cracks started to show on hole 10, when Spieth pushed his approach shot right into the bunker. His 3rd shot was no better, as he left himself a long putt for par, which he'd missed badly. Spieth's tee shot at 11 put him deep into the trees, forcing him to lay up into the fairway. But he recovered beautifully with his 3rd shot, putting himself within 6 feet of the hole for par.
Normally it saves the day.
Spieth had bogeyed back-to-back holes heading into 12, and after checking the standings, he realized Danny Willett had birdied 2 in a row. His 5-shot lead just minutes ago had now fallen to just 1, but the score gap was a little deceptive. Danny Willett only had 4 holes left to play and was forced to lay up on the easy par 5 15th, his last real chance to get a birdie. But Spieth didn't know this. All he saw was his 1-shot lead quickly getting away from him. And as he arrived on the tee box of the 12th, Jordan Spieth had a decision to make. Play it safe on the left, or tempt fate once again by going for the flag. 2 years prior, Spieth was down a stroke and needed to catch up, so he went straight for the hole and it ended up costing him. But this year, Spieth was the one who was ahead. He was still up a stroke and had a sizable hole advantage on Willett. He had gained massive experience on the course from his 2015 Masters win. All he needed to do was keep his cool and get the ball somewhere on the green. But that's not what happened. Spieth went for the flag, and it cost him once again, as he hit it short and right and ended up in the water. So he walked up to the drop zone to take his third shot, hoping to save bogey like he did in 2014. But his day just kept getting worse.
The bunkers, so it's not going to scare him if he goes long. Oh my goodness. This is unbelievable.
Spieth would duff his chip straight into the water, and his second attempt would sail way over the green and into the bunker. When it was all said and done, Spieth finished with a 7, a quadruple bogey, and to this day, it's his worst ever score at the Masters. In just 30 minutes, Jordan Spieth went from a commanding 5-stroke lead to a 3-stroke deficit, an 8-shot swing that's never been seen before. While there's been some iconic collapses at the Masters, namely Greg Norman's infamous choke, where he took a 6-stroke lead into the final round but would throw it away on the same 12th hole. But none were as swift and shocking as Jordan Spieth's collapse. Spieth was known for his incredible poise and bounce-back ability. He had already earned the record for the highest one-putt percentage of any player in Masters history, but it seemed that the pressure was just too much for the young player. And so he watched helplessly, his incredible, career-defining moment slipping right through his fingers. Spieth would try to bounce back with tough birdies on 13 and 15, but a bogey on 17 would seal his fate, and he'd finish tied for second at -2, 3 shots back of the winner Danny Willett. Jordan Spieth was all anyone could talk about after the 2016 Masters, but it was for all the wrong reasons. Clips of his meltdown on the 12th hole were everywhere on the news, and it's regarded now as one of the worst collapses of all time. What was meant to be the beginning of a legendary career turned into any golfer's worst nightmare in just 3 strokes. Spieth would shrug off the Masters collapse right away with a win at the Dean DeLuca Invitational in May. He followed that up with another Ryder Cup appearance, where he'd split his 5 matches en route to a dominant US victory, the first in 8 years. But it was clear that Spieth had lost a step, as he was far more inconsistent and seemed to have lost a bit of his confidence. Spieth stayed in the top 10 of the golf rankings for 2 more years, but couldn't find success at a major tournament, failing to crack the top 10 for the next 6 majors. Spieth briefly found his footing again in the summer of 2017, with a brilliant bunker shot to win the Travelers Cup and his 10th PGA Tour event before the age of 25. He'd follow that up with a back-and-forth brawl with Matt Kuchar at the Open Championships that he'd eventually win to grab his 3rd major trophy, once again putting him in the company of greats like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. But this would be the last time these comparisons happened, as Jordan's form would take a nosedive. In 2018, Spieth would drop out of the top 10 rankings and would go winless on the PGA Tour for the first time in his career, even missing the cut at the US Open. 2019 and 2020 were no different, as Spieth would fail to win any events, only managing 1 third place at the PGA Championship. Because of this, Spieth would fall to as low as 80th in the world rankings. After almost 4 years without a tournament victory, Spieth would finally pull one off at the Valero Texas Open to end a 1,300-day streak. A 3rd place at the Masters and a runner-up finish at the Open teased the idea of Spieth returning to form, but the hype was short-lived. Spieth would miss the cut at the 2022 Masters for the first time in his career, capped off by yet another quadruple bogey, this time on the 15th. To this day, Spieth has not won a tournament since 2021 and has placed no higher than 8th in any major. What started as an incredible career filled with promise and aspirations of greatness has plummeted into the depths of mediocrity. Comparisons to greats like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus now seem like foolish remarks with the benefit of hindsight. And while Spieth can sometimes echo shades of his former self, it's clear that he's no longer the same player. Jordan Spieth won 7 events in his first 2 years of golf, a number only Tiger can touch. But in the last 8 years, Spieth's only managed 6, and that turning point in his career happened right here, at the 12th hole of the 2016 Masters. A 5-minute sequence of bad decisions, bad shots, and a bit of bad luck turned his crowning achievement into the most iconic choke in golf history. Jordan Spieth is a fantastic golfer who's had one hell of a career, but when we look back on his legacy 20 years from now, that meltdown on the 12th hole of the Masters is all we'll ever care to remember.